Welcome, everybody. This is Lessons for Life podcast. I'm Troy Hudkins, your host, and with me tonight we have Jenny Polischuck. Jenny, thanks for joining us. It's a great to have you on here with us and share some insight.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So to get started, first question: who is Jenny Polischuck?
Jenny Polischuck is a 38-year-old lady. She's a wife and a mother and an educator and a nonprofit worker, a Christian, and a lady trying to be better and be who she's meant to be.
Nice, right on. That's awesome. You obviously wear a lot of hats.
I guess, yeah, most of us do.
Yeah, that's cool. Who has been your biggest influence in your life, your mother or your father?
Ooh, I have to say both.
Okay.
We describe them as like a yin and a yang of parenting.
Nice.
And my siblings and I, we've talked about this, how their strengths really complement one another. So as a parental unit, they checked, I would say, nearly all of the boxes, and they were the perfect parents for us. I have to say both.
Nice. That's awesome. Do you find that it's kind of neat that parents fit together like that. And I think it's like that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whether it be work and stay at home, or one's into lots of outdoor stuff and one's into lots of indoor stuff, you know what I mean? But they always
Yeah.
seem to complement each other and give their kids those kinds of things. That's
Totally.
awesome. Of all the good things your mother has shown you, what is one that you would like to be able to pass along to your younger generations?
Her devotion to the Lord.
Awesome.
So yeah, of my two parents, like, she was the one who took us to church. She's the one who my dad, totally great person, but my mom, like, our religious training came because my mom took us to church. So I hope to
Right.
pass that along to my girls, my testimony of my Savior Jesus Christ.
Awesome. And you guys obviously learned that from a very young age.
Yeah.
And you continue on, and your kids have learned that as well.
I hope so. Actually, honestly, I think so. My grandma, my grandma Hudkins, always says she loves seeing how these later generations, because she has grandkids, great grandkids, and great great grandkids, and so she says she loves seeing how these next generations of her posterity she says we're doing even better parenting, which we honestly think she's a rock star. But yeah, like, you hope that you keep raising the bar and being who your kids need, and like learn more, do more. Yeah. Anyway, I hope my kids, yeah.
That's awesome. It's nice to see the young kids come up and actually do some of the things you've taught them or tried to instill in them.
It's beautiful. And I feel like my girls are stronger and smarter and deeper than certainly I was at 8 and 10. And they blow my mind. Like, I hope I learned so much from them.
Right.
And I'm supposed to be the parent, but they're like, yeah, they are awesome young women.
Well, I think we all learn from the kids, the younger generations. I mean, I'm a grandparent. My kids, I learn from them. They learn things that we never learned as younger people, right?
Yeah.
Just the way society is changing. And now the grandkids coming up, sometimes my granddaughter teaches me how to run my phone. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
amazing how those little minds just take everything in,
And they're built for the world now. Like they are the perfect people for the world now.
right? It's totally amazing.
It is amazing.
It is. Okay, so that was your mother. Of all the good traits your father has shown you, what is one that you would like to pass on to your younger generations?
Um, I'm not very good at this, but I wish to be, and I hope my girls. My dad was um, a quiet lover, and he was a respecter of all persons.
Nice.
He wasn't judgmental. He was like a quiet lover and gave his kindness to everyone and anyone, and without judgment. And I want to be more like that.
Nice. That's awesome. And hopefully teach your kids to be more like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Right. Um, Growing up, did any of your siblings have an impact on your life and who you are now?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Each of them have attributes that I want to emulate for sure. So I'm the oldest. And then 2.5 years later, I have a sister, Allison. And she is outgoing and happy and one of those people who everyone loves. And she just is a friend to everyone. And she'll say I'm an introvert, but really, like wherever she is where the party is.
Right.
And I want to be more fun like her because that is not my natural way to be like that. And I love that about her. And then
Nice.
uh, another 2.5 years later, I have another sister, Leslie, and she is like the sweetest soul. And actually, she's probably the most like my dad in that
Nice.
she has such a tender heart, and I love that about her. And then 11 years from me, so 5 years, there's a 5-year gap, is my littlest brother, well, my only brother, Michael. And uh, that kid has like grit. He probably would never describe that about himself, but he has persevered and he pushes on in life.
Nice.
And it's hard or not what he wishes things would be. He does push ahead, and I
Keeps
love
pushing
that about
forward.
him. Yeah,
Nice. Right on. That's amazing. So all your siblings have had an impact on who you are now.
totally.
Awesome. Which person outside of your family do you think has made the largest impact in your life?
Oh, like not my partner, not Graham. Like
Well,
outside of that.
yeah, I would kind of, I guess, because he is part of your
Mhm.
family right now.
Yeah. Um. hmm, Outside of my family, I can. There are lots of people. Lots of people who've like I've rubbed shoulders with over my life that I've have been impactful for different reasons. I a high school teacher who uh, even beyond high school was like, don't give up, pursue what you want to pursue, you can do it, an encourager.
Nice.
Like even came to my wedding because we stayed friends, we became friends. Like I
Nice.
adore her, and she was such an encourager. um, I've had different leaders at church that have just I've learned from and want to emulate as they mother or how they have raised their families. I've wanted to, things that they've done, I wanted to be more like them because of their example.
Nice.
I can't say one. Lots of different people. It's like brushstrokes and helping Jenny be who Jenny is.
Well, that's good. That's good. You've got a lot of people that are in your circle, right?
Yeah. Yeah, very
So,
lucky.
and hopefully all of us do. I mean, hopefully there's not just one single person that is that person, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe other than your husband, right? But I mean, people that you, like you said, rub shoulders with, or you meet,
Yeah,
acquaintances and stuff that maybe give you a little snippet of something that makes you a better person.
totally.
That's awesome. Who is your idol? Who do you look at and say, if I could be like anybody, I'd like to be like them, or be how they are, or what they stand for?
Um, I don't know if I can say one person again, Uncle, but can I say my grandmas?
Sure.
My grandmas, so my like mom's mom and my dad's mom, and then Graham's grandma. So my three grandmas, they all again have, like my grandma Hudkins, her devotion to the Lord, and she's lost her sight and she handles that with grace. And her health stuff, she handles with grace, and she unconditionally loves us. And want, I, I want to be like her when I grow up. My dad's mom, my grandma Hinko, she is like always in your corner. She'll
Nice.
cheer you on, and if you don't like someone, she won't like someone with you. Or
Support.
if someone hurts you, she will like not like them even. But she like great devotion that way.
She's a very kind lady also.
She is. She loves us fiercely.
Yeah.
And I want to be like that. I hope my kids feel that fierce love. And then
Nice.
Graham's grandma, she is a quiet, gentle soul that again rolls with the punches of life and is able to step back and look at the greater picture and not like get her feathers ruffled.
Right.
And I don't know if that's something that's like come with age for her, or I've never asked her, but I can get wound up, but I want to be like Grandma Lawrence and like step back and see the bigger picture.
Yeah. That's actually what I was thinking as you were saying the grandmas is, do you think that their attitudes with life or their experiences are because of age and
Mm-hmm.
growing and learning as they go, and you know maybe taking all that information in and being who they are because of how they've been brought up, or the experiences they've had.
Probably, actually, you're probably right. I hadn't ever thought of it that way, but yeah, each of them have 80 plus or around 80 years of life experience that
Right.
when I talk to them, they get to share that perspective of 80 years measured up against my, measly 30, whatever.
The young child.
Yeah. But
Right.
I feel super fortunate too. And the fact isn't lost on me that it's a privilege to still have these women in my life, like, and to
Right.
know them. And now for my daughters to know them. And it's a privilege to get to tap into their life experience, I guess, and get to know them.
Yeah. Awesome. um how important is education in your life? I know you're an educator. How important is education in life?
Ooh, big time important. Obviously, I'm going to answer that one. But
Okay.
I definitely think education can look different. And my mom used to say, like, she didn't go on after high school to do post-secondary. She went and lived in Europe and traveled a lot.
Nice.
And so she used to say my education was a worldly education.
Nice.
And even though I did go on and do post-secondary, I've always loved that comment that she made. And even still, I'm a big believer, like I'm a book reader and I'm a self-help book reader. And
Nice.
anything I read or take in, if I can glean even a little nugget that's going to help me in my life or in my parenting or in my relationships, or if I glean a little nugget, then that quest for reading that book was worth it. Or
Nice.
yeah, so education, yeah, to keep learning and refining ourselves and growing. But that doesn't mean like you have to go to college or university, although it is a life goal of mine to get my master's. And it was a long time for us to have kids. It took like 7 years for us to have babies from when we started trying. And just before I got pregnant, I had enrolled back into the U of A to do some classes to bring my GPA up, because I was, okay, if I'm not having babies, I'll like start working on my master's and try and get into a master's program.
Yeah.
Now that the kids are here, though, I say when I'm a grandma, I'm going to buzz around the university in my scooter and I'll get my
Right
master's.
on. Right
I'll get
on.
my master's then.
Good.
So
Never
I
stop
am
learning.
never stop learning. There'll be a
Yep.
season for that for Jenny on her scooter.
Right. Exactly. So with education then, which one do you think carries more importance, classroom or life lessons?
Ooh. Well, I think the classroom is like a microcosm for the world.
Okay.
Like for my girls, as they're going through elementary school, there are so many life lessons that come from navigating the stuff that happens in school, maybe not necessarily like their math, social science, language arts,
Right.
but peer stuff on the playground, relationships with your teachers. If the school is a microcosm for the world, so there are life lessons.
Actual life lessons that they're learning in school.
Yeah, like you might not jive with your teacher. Guess what? You might not jive with a boss someday.
Right.
So you gotta figure that relationship out. Your seat partner in your pod really irritates you. Guess what? The guy in the cubicle next to you might also really challenge you. You got to work that stuff out.
Awesome. So even as a child in school, they're learning life lessons.
Heck yeah, totally.
Good.
I think that is like a beautiful thing. Big advocate for public education right here.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the year your mom spent in Europe was her life lessons.
Lots of life lessons.
Learning
And crazy
all that.
stories. Crazy stories when she gets telling you. Yeah, crazy stories.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. So with education, whether it be life lessons or classroom, how do you know when you know?
Oh, well, I'll get
I ask the hard questions, eh?
you know what though, this is like, I think you can feel truth in your heart.
Nice.
And you can feel things in your heart when it is either something important for you to click and file away, or just plain truth. Like I remember clearly being in a child psychology class in university, and they were talking about accountability and understanding consequences,
Nice.
and the professor's talking, and I felt it in my heart, like as the prof is talking, I'm like, that is totally true.
Nice.
Totally, like you feel it. And when I was teaching, I remember a student saying, you know, oh, that's my spidey senses, or that's my gut telling me. And I was like,
Yep.
yeah, like at church, I would, you would say that's the Holy Ghost testifying that's true.
Yep.
And at school, my student said, this is my spidey senses.
Yep.
And either way, you're feeling it in your heart and in your soul that it's true and good, and maybe it's something you need to lock in because it's important for you to lock in.
Yeah. So if you can recognize those feelings, then you truly know that you know.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Um, how about sports? Have you ever played sports?
Not the sporty type,
Okay.
but I'm good for trying most things.
Okay. So don't just say no, give it a try.
Yeah. But then usually once I play, I don't know if people would want to be on my team, but I
But
did play well. Yeah. I'm a cheerleader. I'll cheer you on from the
you're
side.
a good cheerleader. My
I'm
wife
good.
as well.
Yeah.
My wife as well. She finally played baseball one time with us because we were short a girl on our team. And she stood there, and when she finally hit the ball, she was so excited. She turned to us all and said, I hit it, I hit it. And she wouldn't run, but she
Right?
was totally excited.
Yeah,
So,
I identify with that. Yep, yep.
right?
We have different
So,
skills.
exactly. So, you didn't play sports. Did you join any other teams or clubs or anything like that in school?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Uh totally. Student council, peer
Nice.
mediation support, Santa's Little Helpers, did some, dabbled in drama, dabbled in band. Yeah,
Nice.
did some stuff.
So, what do you think? What kind of experiences did you gain from being part of, whether it's a club or a team? I'll say team, being part of a team or in that team environment.
Oh, lots of stuff comes from that. For sure, lots comes from that. First, it's cool to be with like-minded people. And I think, oh, student council, people who join student council are often motivated to make change or be leaders, or because they want to do something good, they'll step into that leadership role.
Nice.
So it's cool to be inspired by people like that. We had something called Santa's Little Helpers in high school, which we gathered stuff for Santa's Anonymous, and then we did the food bank. And so
Nice.
that was also, when you're again with like-minded people or motivated by them, it's pretty cool.
So, do you find being around people like that motivates you further
Totally.
than you would be if you were just on your own?
Yeah. And yeah, totally. Now, I didn't return to the classroom after the girls were born. I stayed home. And then I began volunteering at a nonprofit who I'd attended programs with my little girls through this nonprofit in town called Families First. And then I ended up getting a job and working part-time there the last 4 years.
Nice.
And it's a nonprofit, and I'm continually inspired by the women that give so much of their time and their talents to our community. Like, totally inspired by these women that are just like awesome ladies.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. Um, so what is your biggest motivator?
Um, like for my life and what, like, I want to be a good person
Okay.
and become who I'm supposed to be.
Okay. So with that being said, what is your why?
At the end of this life, I want to return to my Heavenly Father, return to God, and be with my family forever, and
Awesome.
hopefully help one another get there.
So make it through this life being the best person you can.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
oh, does Jenny fall short, but she tries.
Well, I think we all fall short on some things, but like you said before, never give up, right?
Yeah.
Always keep learning,
Yeah.
right? So what is your biggest fear?
Not being good enough.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Or yeah.
Yeah. That's, I find that that's my thing all the time, is not feeling like I'm good enough at something, or, you know, maybe I build something and it's not quite how I want it to be. And
Hmm.
you're like, duh,
Yeah.
right? What inspired you to choose the career that you were in, teaching?
Oh, yeah. Education. Always wanted to be a teacher, actually, and like would make my little sisters play school, make them, I'd write on the chalkboard, make them sit there. My sister who's like
Uh,
fun and outgoing, Allison, I would like force her to sit at a desk, which isn't even the best way to help kids learn. Make someone sit at a desk, that ain't good. But that's what I would do to her because that's what I thought. I've always wanted to be a teacher. And the only other thing I ever thought about doing was social work. My grandpa was a social worker. That's the only other thing I ever thought of.
really?
And he sat me down once and said, Jenny, I like think about it carefully.
Hate to break it to you, but
I think I would have cried far, far, far too much, because even in education, things happen in your classroom or in your little people's families that you have to help them cope with. And that was
yeah,
enough for me. That was enough for me to know social work. I could have never done
right.
that.
It's that career is probably one of the ones that is probably, I wouldn't say it's the lowest as in that kind of thing, but probably dealing with the most down and out people all the time,
Oh, heartbreak stuff.
right?
Yeah.
So you're constantly trying to lift people up and build them up.
Yeah,
Takes a pretty strong person to do that, I think.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And not that other careers don't either, you know, but
no, but yeah,
that's
they're
definitely one that,
no. And education, you get like some magic too. When someone learns to read, magic. They can
right?
tell they can tell a face clock. They learn to tell a face clock. Magic.
Right? All of a sudden you're like, hey, I taught this child how to do this.
They
It's
can multiply.
amazing.
They handwrite their name. Magic.
Yeah, that is way cool. Is there anything else other than those two careers that you would ever like to do?
Yeah, actually, I thought seriously about interior design.
Nice. And you design your house pretty well all the time.
I really like to do stuff in my home. Yeah. And
Nice.
yeah, I change my mantle out seasonally. Any holiday, Jenny's mantle gets a new look. And
Nice.
I love that. And I've helped my friend. She builds houses. I go and help her stage her homes. That's been fun before she sells them. And I help
Awesome.
my friends when they ask. That's the only thing I've thought about doing. And because really your home can help you feel happy, right? If your home is
Right.
happy, like the vibe you create
It's
in
your
your
happy place.
totally.
Yeah.
So that's the
And
only other.
so kind of related to that same question, if you could do or be anything at all without any possibility of failure, what would it be?
Mm, well, first, about possibility of failure. Hmm. I love teaching and I love the classroom. And when I volunteer at my girls' school, I volunteer there a lot. Like, I get in there a few hours a week. I have commitments that I help with there. I feel it in my bones. So without failure, I would say though, I don't go back and yet because I don't think I could work like I did before I had kids. I couldn't give before we had our girls. I gave so much time to my class and my students.
Yeah.
And I have a fear inside of like not being able to balance being the mom who I want to be, who I waited like a long time for this job,
Right.
be a mom, and being the kind of teacher that I would want to be. And many women do it and like are amazing moms and amazing teachers. Lots of my friends swing that, but I just don't know if I could do that. Yeah, I would go back to the classroom if I felt like I could. I wouldn't say, I don't think I'd ever fail at it, but
But
I yeah,
if you could be the best you could at it
yeah.
without failing,
Without taking anything from my family, yeah.
that would be the thing. Awesome.
If we could have like 10 more hours in the day,
Right?
10 more hours.
Don't we always want that?
Yeah.
Less sleep, being
Less
able to
sleep.
survive on 1
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
Right?
If we could cut out sleep, boom. Yeah.
Right? then we'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
What do you do in your spare time to take your mind off things?
My spare time, you know what? I love making family picture albums. I
Nice.
scrapbook online. I do old school scrapbooking too, for the girls' birthdays and our Christmas. It's like family pictures are treasures to me. And I read once in a book that when you capture it in a picture, it like science literally has told us that when we look at a happy image, our body will release those same endorphins. So if it's a picture of your family on the beach in Hawaii and you look at it again and you start remembering and feeling like, so that's my thing.
Nice.
I organizing my family pictures and yeah, family
Nice.
pictures.
What's the biggest lesson do you think you've learned in your life so far?
It ain't easy. Keep trying.
Does it ever get easier?
No, I just spent like a couple months ago, I spent a week with my grandma who's like 82, right? I think she's 82. And yeah, I'm like, never is there a time when you're like, I'm on easy street. Never.
All good now. Kick back.
No, no. Even when you're in your 80s, you're like getting older and your body is like throwing you curveballs. Like, there's never an easy street, so you just got to keep on trying.
Awesome.
Keep trying.
What's one thing in your life that you've accomplished so far that you're most proud of?
Probably my happy marriage.
Nice.
I love my partner. Did not know how good I was gonna have it when we picked one another, when I picked him. You know, when you're like
when you caught him?
When I caught him, when you're like this 21-year-old and you're like commit to one another.
Nice.
And super grateful, and I'm probably most proud of we're happy. I'm pretty sure he's gonna say we're happy.
Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Not bad.
We're quarantined right now. We're not quarantined. What are we? Socially distant from everyone else but one another.
Isolated.
Isolated.
Yeah.
And we still really love each other.
Perfect, right?
I like,
If you get, that's what most people say when they stop working and they spend all that time at home. They're like, I need to go back to work,
no, love the guy. Totally
right?
love the guy. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
What's something in your life that you've done that you wish you could go back and change?
Mm, well, I've said some dumb things along the way.
Okay.
I have some little regrets of some dumb things I've said. But I really, tell my girls, if I could go back, one thing that always comes to my mind, in high school, I was like kind of just an average Joe, friends with everyone, flew under the radar, you know,
Just make it through.
make it through. But I tell my girls this story of a time when I was a bystander to someone who was getting bugged.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have stood up for him,
Stepped in.
which,
Yeah.
I have that in me. And I was more afraid of the ramifications for myself.
Right.
But I regret that. Yeah. Being a
Like
bystander.
like the peer type
Yeah.
ramifications.
That the bully would turn on me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that punk. And I'm super happy to report that guy who was bugged went on to be uber successful,
Nice. Awesome.
which
That's
makes
good.
me, but yeah, I still share that regret with my girls
Yeah.
when the
Well, good.
times present itself.
And that's a good lesson for them, right?
Yeah.
As young people, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, what is your idea of perfect happiness?
Being with my family forever, my little 4 unit and my extended family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So family, that's my next question. How important is family in your life? So it's obviously very important to you.
Off the charts. Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Um, how important are good and positive relationships with other people in your life?
Super important. Super important. Again, they like help you become who you're supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's worth the investment. Even when I think about my family, my siblings and we are like really different, some of us, like really different. Like
Yeah.
me, non-sporty, my one sister, totally sporty, for an example.
Right.
But
Right.
like figuring it out and working at those relationships. And then, yeah, like I've had some of my friendships have been gold and continue to be gold.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like helping you be who you are.
So then with good and positive relationships, how important is it to have a positive attitude in your dealings with people, whether it be family, friends, or work, or even in your alone time?
Yeah, essential. Totally essential to and again, I feel like that's a work in progress, right? Like in our family, you know, there are some relationships that come easier than others.
Right.
But yeah, to work at it, whatever that means, if it means like disengaging a bit or stepping back till you can come back with a clear head, or if it means even looking at the positive. Yeah,
The
yeah,
glass half full
totally.
all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And sometimes that's hard, right?
Totally hard. Oh, totally hard.
You get into situations and you get down, someone else gets down. It's hard to keep that positive
Yeah,
enforcement all the time.
yeah.
So with trying to keep a positive attitude, do you do any sort of meditation or yoga or any self-healing or self-awareness work?
Um, I do yoga, and that's kind of one of my jams. That's maybe as physical as I actually get. Huh? That's my sport.
You, you know what? Yoga is very taxing if you do it right.
That's right, right?
It
Not if it,
is.
it is. So that's my um yeah, yoga to clear my mind, and that's more of like a personal mental health thing that I do to let things uh and I've learned when I'm in my practice to like clear my mind and leave my worries at the door. And
Which
for that,
is your form of meditation to go with your yoga,
yeah. So that's
right?
like one thing I do. Also prayer, for sure, prayer.
Nice.
Like asking for help in whether it's those relationships or my clearing my own mind of my worries or my fears or the things I'm anxious about, and seeking help in those relationships or counsel for decisions. Like prayer, huge in
Nice.
personally sorting myself out.
Nice. Awesome. Is there anything that you would suggest for others?
Hmm. Well, prayer is always a good answer, I think. And
Okay.
I tell my girls, I have taught my girls that. Um, for others, I would say like you got to find what your jam is.
Nice.
I have friends who are like walkers. They get out and walk.
Okay.
One friend that's like a runner. One friend that's like, I need to get in nature or the woods or go down by the river.
Nice. Which
You
is
know,
a good calming meditation in its own,
totally.
right?
Another friend that's like, yeah, big about going to the gym, and that's part of her like mental health, self
Yep.
care, which I'm like, that's more like a form of torture for Jenny. Make her go to the gym. Like, you want me to confess to something? Put me on the elliptical. I'll eventually tell you whatever you want to hear.
But do you think that that same person that goes to the gym all the time, do you think if they had to go and do yoga with you, do you think they would feel the pain like you would if you went to the gym?
Well, I have kind of a weak body, so that adds to my just staying at
But
the gym. But
but even but even just them stepping into that realm of doing yoga instead of like working out,
maybe,
right? Like I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
something totally not in their wheelhouse, right?
yeah, trying something new.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I
You never know.
one of my boys played hockey and football for years.
Yeah,
And they went to one of his high school teachers when we lived in the States, the in the phys ed class had a whole um, they had a whole course on stretching.
yeah,
And here they are trying to get this kid to stretch. And they would always come and tell him, no, you're failing this because you don't stretch properly.
oh,
And he's like, no, I don't bend that way. I'm all muscle from playing hockey. My legs don't bend that way, right? You
yeah,
know what I mean? So
yeah,
kind of like you doing yoga and the other person doing the working out in the gym, right? I mean, two totally different things,
totally.
right? So
But it's yeah, but achieving peace and like peace and helping them, yeah, finding your thing really.
right. And I think everybody's different. Like you said,
Totally.
going out for a walk in nature. I
Yeah,
remember reading somewhere that being out in nature, they said something about being in the trees with a slight breeze because you get the wind noise,
yeah,
and being close to a river where you hear the water. They said that is two of the most relaxing things for your body that you could ever have.
cool.
So,
I believe it.
you
Yeah,
know,
totally.
I mean, my wife has a sound machine she plays at night. We listen to ocean waves all night.
Yeah.
And it's just that background noise of the waves coming in and out and splashing and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like totally relaxing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, awesome. If you could write down one thing in a letter to yourself, um, your younger self, what age would it be? And what advice would you give yourself?
Ooh, what age and what advice? Hmm. I would probably say 8. I'm just thinking of my girls' age and how they, who they, how they are. So I would probably say 8 because, they take things to heart. And what advice? Stay close to the Lord and it'll be okay.
Nice. Nice. Not marry the right guy at 21.
Well, that's pretty good advice too.
But
That
that's
worked out well for me.
yeah.
But
But that's
well, I was just gonna say, I also want my girls to be okay if they don't find a good guy to marry.
right. Yeah.
I want them to be like strong, independent women. If they don't find a right guy, they don't settle for a schmuck.
Right. Right.
But yeah, meeting a good guy at 21 and locking that in, that worked out very well for me.
Definitely good. Yeah. So teaching or giving yourself some advice to stay close to the Lord and everything will
Yeah,
be all right.
everything
Good.
will be all right. Yeah.
Good. That's awesome. Um, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Anywhere in the world? Golly, Hawaii's pretty sweet, man.
Perfect. It's got the perfect weather, right? I mean,
Perpetually perfect weather.
how can you go wrong? It rains, you get soaking wet, 10 minutes later you're dry,
Yeah, I
right?
think Hawaii. If it
Yeah,
weren't so dang expensive,
right?
yeah.
Nice. If you could have lunch with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, if I could have lunch with someone. Hmm. Hmm. Dead or alive, hey? Um,
Oh,
you
I
know
didn't
who I've
talk.
always admired? Martin Luther King.
Nice,
I've
nice.
always admired him. And like, yeah,
So
yeah, always admired him.
what would you chat about if you were sitting for dinner with him?
How he could remain peaceful and stand up for what he knew was right and not like lose his cool.
Nice.
But you know what? I was also thinking of Gandhi, like peaceful protest. Like those,
Yeah,
yeah, he was in my head too. To like, yeah, stand up
there's
for what you believe in a non-contentious way.
there's definitely some amazing people out there.
Absolutely, like so many in my head. That was hard to choose. That was a good question. That was hard to choose.
Nice. Um, what type of music makes you happy? What's like your feel good music, your go-to?
We were just talking about this at dinner. My girls literally just asked us all, do you like rock? Do you like pop? Do you like country? Yeah, I think those were the 3 options, rock, pop, or country. Um, you know, pop, it's bopping, it's happening. And like old pop rock and like give me some Fleetwood Mac, but I also like the Jonas Brothers and Taylor Swift. So
Okay,
I'm all over the place.
okay. So then, if you were stranded on a desert island and the device you had with you would never die, and it could only play one song over and over, and you couldn't shut it off, what song would it be?
What song would it be? Elton John, Tiny Dancer.
Nice. That would have been one of my favorite picks. Definitely. Yeah.
That's a solid one.
Yeah. Nice. So who got you into Elton John, your mom or your dad?
I don't know. It was both. I think both, because there's a story that they actually, and you're in it because you're my uncle, when they got married, any duplicate records they had, apparently 16-year-old Troy like swooped in, and
Oh my God.
any duplicate records my parents had, and I think they had 2 Elton John.
Yep.
And you got one. I've heard this story.
I think
But yeah.
I think I got quite a few, but yeah, that was definitely one of them.
Yeah, both
Yeah.
my parents, big Elton John fans.
That's
And
awesome.
actually pretty amazing, like awesome life event. We took my girls to Elton John this fall. It was like one of those amazing moments where our girls are old enough that they can do concerts and stay up past their bedtime. And
Oh yeah.
we all went to see Elton John as a family. It was a big
Nice.
moment. Yeah.
You know, I think Elton John, over the span of his career, like there's a lot of bands that have been out, you know, from way back when I was young, way, way back. And, you know, they're still around and they're still playing, but you go to their concert and it's all the old people that were at their concert 40 years ago, right? But I
Yep.
think Elton John is one that catered to everybody, no matter what age. And like you said, you took your girls in there. What are they, 8 and 10?
Yep. Love
You
Elton
know,
John.
like that is amazing, right?
Totally.
And it fits. You know, the kids can relate to a lot of his music that comes out,
Yep.
right? It's just
Yep.
awesome. That's
Yep.
amazing. So one final question. This one I've kind of taken from another podcast I used to listen to. Um, if you learned and accomplished everything that you've ever wanted in your life, um, you've been the best person you could be. You've grown to be just like amazing with everything. You've just grown so much and learned so much through your life. And when you pass on, you have to take everything with you. After you go, nobody would know who Jenny Polischuck is. But you can leave behind 3 lessons for life on a piece of paper or something. What would they be?
Probably 2 of the 3 would be what I would write to myself, like stay close to the Lord and things will be okay. And maybe I would add kind of my 3rd one would be maybe not the okay that you'd hoped for, but like okay.
Okay. So stay close to the Lord. Things will be okay. And maybe not the okay you hoped for.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Good. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate you taking your time away from your family and spending this time with me. And hopefully, the people watching and listening can take something from our conversation, or maybe, you know, gain some insight from experiences that you've related that they can use in their lives, or whatever, you know. Hopefully this is something that brightens them up as they listen. And
Well,
again,
thanks for having me.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you. And this has been Lessons for Life with Troy Hudkins and my guest, Jenny Polischuck. Tune in next time for another episode. Thank you.